saying to the legal world, either get in the goddamn wagon or, so anyway, would Jim come up to accept this award?
This is very confusing. I didn't know whether I should bring out my iPhone or my iPad to read from.
The iPad.
And in fact, I do have the iPad here.
That's why. You got it just for that, right there.
You know, one of the things about the internet is you get remarkable numbers of statistics on all of the performance. And I thought I would share just a few numbers with you and contrast these back with 1993, 17 years ago, when I left the Academy of Family Mediators, and this was really just at the point now where the internet was really kicking in. And it used to be a good day at the Academy of Family Mediators to send out 25 information packets of the 20 or so Xerox pages that we thought people should read. And I wanted to contrast that 20 packets a day just with most recent numbers at Mediate.com from March. So in March, in terms of page views, 781,040. Visitor sessions in March, 491,000. It's almost 16,000 a day. The average visitor length, 27 minutes. In terms of the number of articles at the site, 5,949. The number of news items, 2317. Video clips, 466. Newsletters that have been published, 321. And most remarkably, and the piece that I personally am proudest of, is 1,071 authors. So that we really have created a platform, if you will, that has allowed the field to share its best and most innovative thinking. This is the result, I would suggest, of really two primary factors. One is the vision of the co-founders, and the other is the laziness of the co-founders, as well as a long-time and dedicated staff. I'm going to ask John Healy if he'd be so kind to put the wine down for a moment. To stand up, because John absolutely deserves special mention. John, before Mediate.com, was the founder of ConflictNet, and you may know the history of that is he was basically so lazy that he didn't want to drive across the Bay Bridge to exchange files with Community Boards program of San Francisco, so he decided he would figure out what these modem things were so he could pass the files that way and not have to do the drive. In my case, it was the desire to stop playing phone tag with people that led us very early on in 1989 to adopt ConflictNet as our communication network for the Academy of Family Mediators. It was, in fact, in February of 1989 that I met John in Montreal, and I can remember to this day the experience of seeing monochrome characters creep across a computer monitor and asking him a few questions like, so you're saying I could send them this email and they would open it when they want. And I could send the same one to a bunch of people at the same time. And they would not only be able to respond to me, but to one another. and that we could store all this information in an archive that people could explore later, and that late joiners could get up to speed. And many of these most fundamental aspects of just conveniently distributing information to people who wanted to be involved continue to be at the core of the value of the internet today. Well, those monochrome characters soon became amber, some of you will remember. And then we had color fonts and backgrounds. We had different size of fonts. I will never forget the day, John, in your house where we looked at an image on the internet in Mosaic for the first time. And this was the first of a number of times where we said, this changes everything. And then I remember when we heard the audio files for the first time on the internet, and we said, this changes everything. And then we saw the video files on the internet, and we said, this changes everything once again. And in fact, I would like to propose to you that in fact everything has changed. That without even thinking about it now, we all email, we send attachments, we may use track changes, we have links in our emails, we have websites, we use Skype, and remarkably, all of these capacities now fit in our pocket. In fact, I'd like to suggest to you that mediation is shifting away from a discrete physical event to a choreography of communications. That all of the electronic communications, well orchestrated, complement the face-to-face, and in fact, in some circumstances, there are situations where it's not even felt necessary to get together, or perhaps even possible to get together. So that's going to bring me to introduce the second gentleman, which I'm going to ask Colin Rule if he would be so kind to stand. Colin was the first general manager at Mediate.com, but he really couldn't quite make the grade. And so he got picked up by eBay, PayPal, and he just happens to run all of their dispute resolution to this day. If she'd be so kind, and I'll let you both stand together, I'm going to ask Carol Knapp to stand, and Byron Knapp. Carol has been the lead programmer at Mediate.com since 1997. I don't know if there's another company that has had a lead programmer for 13 years. Byron Knapp, not related, but actually husband and wife, has been our server administrator since 1998. And in many companies, the disputes between programmers and server administrators are the most difficult disputes of all. And I want to say that in all of our years of operating, I have never experienced a single dispute between our programmer and our server administrator. They have figured it all out. I also would like to ask John Ford to stand. John's been our managing editor. John's been our managing editor since 1999. So I hope you get a sense of the family, if you will, that is at Mediate.com. To introduce a little bit of a speed bump in that regard, I'd like Robert Benjamin to please stand.
Crazy uncle. Crazy uncle.
Robert is our very senior editor at Mediate.com. And finally, I'd like Claire Fowler, if she'd please be so kind to stand. Claire is our newest hire. Claire will be representing our new online case management system, which is our newest development, and she also acts as a counterbalance to Robert. Finally, many of you know Josh and Gary and Angie, which are the customer service crew still back in Eugene. They're the ones who operate in the trenches on a day-to-day basis, and I would be remiss to not honor them as well. Thank you so much. See you online.